cast member for season 8 of The Real Housewives of Potomac. I mean, I love that show. And so I'm excited, that there's someone new, a new face that we have for the season. But, coming into a cast that was sort of divided, how did your expectations on being a Real Housewives compare to the actual experience?
I'm a really chill person. Like I genuinely am someone like I love everybody and I show everyone respect and loyalty until proven otherwise, right? And so going into the group, I was thinking, oh, I would make some new friends. I'll just be myself. We'll hang out. Vibes will be vibing. And then there was just so much tension and hostility amongst certain people. So it was kind of hard to navigate a little. But everyone, and mostly people were really open, received me really well, and really just, kind of put their differences aside and didn't let that come off on me. So I was really grateful for that.
I love that. That's awesome. And I want to talk about the tagline because everyone knows that the tagline is most important. And so your tagline is Nigeria raised me, LA made me, and Potomac will remember me. That's
That's
gold.
right, girl.
So tell me a little bit about that tagline and what all encompasses NECA.
First and foremost, I'm Nigerian. I grew up and was raised very natively and traditionally Nigerian. And, although I grew up in the United States, my parents they made it a priority to instill those customs in us. So I've always identified as a Nigerian. I've always frequented Nigeria. And, even as a child, I used to hate it. My parents would make us go spend our summer vacations in Nigeria, not just Nigeria, Lagos or Abuja, where it's fun. We'd be in like the village where like I would be waking up to roosters crowing at 4 a.m. Like that's how, I was raised. And I used to hate those moments, but I appreciated it because it's so much of my identity that I'm glad that I had those experiences early on to where when I became an adult, anytime I got time off, I'm going to Nigeria. Anytime my friends were like, oh, let's take a quick trip, we're going to Nigeria. So it just became a lifestyle. And also the fact that when I do have children, they're going to have those experiences themselves. And it's a way to really maintain and keep the tradition, even though we're growing up in the diaspora. So just Nigerian is part of my essence. And, LA, I moved to LA after I graduated law school. I think it was 1 week after I got sworn into the Supreme Court of Wisconsin. I hopped on that flight. I remember it was United Airlines, and I moved to LA because that was always my dream. And I remember walking off that plane and was like, "Oh, I have arrived. I am here." So I feel like LA is where I grew up. I sat for the California bar, became a California lawyer, got my first job as an employment law litigation attorney, tried my first case there. And it just developed me as a human. And, that's where I met my husband. I was living in Los Angeles and him and his family moved to Maryland when he was 14 years old. So, the further our relationship developed and the more we started talking about marriage, I knew I would be moving to Maryland because that's where his family is, his siblings are, his cousins and aunts, they're based there. Whereas I was in LA making a name for myself by myself. My family wasn't there. And so, LA kind of, created me in a sense. And now I'm in a new area and I'm going to make my mark.
Yes, and I love it. Being that you're the housewife that actually has the Potomac zip code.
Yes, Potomac zip code, Potomac proper. Don't let anybody else who's not paying property tax tell you where I live. Okay.
I love it. I love it. Now, I'm curious because I know you guys spend hours and hours of filming. So, what aspects of your story or your personality shown on TV do you think viewers resonated with the most? And what aspects do you think may have been overlooked within this season?
This was again a very difficult season, and I feel like viewers struggled, the cast probably struggled because there are deeper issues that predated me that they're all trying to work out. So I feel like there was a lot of muddy waters, and then you have me, who people are trying to get to know, but they're also trying to resolve issues between casts that they've seen for several years. So I kind of feel like people didn't really get to see a lot of me and a lot of my story. So I think that, people who did resonate with me, they resonated with the fact that I'm very lighthearted. I'm not a super serious person. I'm direct and I get to the point because I expect that as well. If someone has an issue with me or if someone heard something about me or if I did something to offend someone, I expect you to bring it to my attention so I can apologize, right? So, and I like to have fun. I like to have a good time. I don't like to stress. I don't hold grudges. We address it, we move on. And I'm just a carefree person and I don't take myself or life too seriously.
I love that. I love that. Now, the season finale just aired, and so the
Yes.
reunion is going to be coming up here next week. But I'm curious, how is it going from I do this filming, we have these situations, we have these issues, some are resolved, some are not. I move on. I'm good. Then now you're, watching it back on TV with the audience, other people's opinions are being put in there. So, how do you kind of go through that process of having to relive those moments again?
You know, I'm a genuine, authentic person, right? So the things that you saw that transpired on TV, the issues that came about that were brought to someone's attention and resolved, I've actually moved on from those things. And the second I said I'm over it, I really am over it. There are certain things that I didn't know happened. And those things, I'm like, wait a minute, you told me about it, but you didn't tell me all of that about it, right? So
Right.
those are things where I'm just like, I need more information, please. And you was messy for that, you know? So it's just kind of it can cause you to take a step back and pause on certain relationships or certain people because you didn't really expect them to say or do something. So I think it is tricky at the reunion.
Oh, I'm excited to see what happens. I have my DVR set, so it's going to change the channel as soon as it comes on.
Well, this is going to be a different type of reunion. Remember, Andy said the intention is looking for a path forward. Okay.
Yes.
So say your prayers now.
I love it. I love it. Now, we touched briefly a little bit on the fact that you are an attorney, but you wear so many hats, and I don't think everything was shown within one season. And so I kind of want to take a little bit of time just to jump into the different layers that you have. I mean, technology within entertainment, of course, law and entrepreneurship. So, how do you manage to leverage, your professional endeavors across your personal interests?
You know, it's really hard. And I'm someone that kind of has a perfectionist attitude. So I've really had to train myself to take a deep breath, relax, and not everything has to be perfect. You know, it's okay to complete something, take a break, move on to something else, and come back to it and make it as perfect as you can. But nothing can be absolute. And just juggling multiple things and being pulled in multiple directions, I've had to just schedule time and say, this is the time I'm working on this. This is the time I'm going to work on that. I think really just being organized and having a calendar and sticking to it and not being distracted. I literally will be working on something for Hello Africa, which is my mobile dating app. And then I'll get a phone call about Bidot, which is my sparkling wine. And I'll now just change my brain from one direction to now be dealing with, Bidot stuff. So it's really about focus time. I didn't think that was a real thing, but it really is about focus time. And most importantly, I've realized through this journey that I actually do need me time and mental health time because you can really get overwhelmed. You can lose yourself, and that can cause explosive conversations with your friends, with your husband, or people whom the aggression wasn't even intended for. So really, just focusing on the areas and yourself.
Wow, that's amazing because I saw it and I was just like, oh my gosh, like how does NECA do it? She is a superwoman.
Oh, God bless you. I will say honestly, the legal aspect is really hard because these are people's real life matters, right? And you just have to put your dedicated, unbothered attention to that. And it's a full-time job, and it's not 40 hours a week; it's like 80 hours a week. And you want to be, as a Nigerian, I'm an overachiever, and so we're just constantly, trying to put out high-performing work product.
Yes, no, I love that. Now I want to touch a little bit. You shared your IVF journey on this season, and so that's a lot of things most people are starting to talk about. And I know it can be challenging, but what was it like for you to, be transparent and open up that part of your life for television?
It was hard. I think at the time that we were filming, I didn't think anything of it because I was like, okay, I agreed to this show and they're following my life. I have a doctor's appointment today. I have this going on today. And they just rolled with what was really happening. But it wasn't until we wrapped and then I'm like, oh, did I really just expose myself on TV? I'm like, now the whole world knows I can't get pregnant. And, there's a lot of backlash that comes with that. That some people are not compassionate and sympathetic. Some people are like, oh, it's your fault. You're old. You're this, you're that. They want to put blame on someone. And it's not, some things are just beyond your control. And infertility is just one of those circumstances where it could be for no reason and you can't get pregnant. But I'm just really grateful that God chose me to be in this place where I can, shed some light on it. And I've received a lot of really, really nice feedback. And not only that, I've just gotten so much attention from people who have had those experiences, people that I knew that never shared their journey, and I'm just like, I'm grateful that they feel comfortable enough to tell me about their experience. But then I also think it's motivating for me to keep going and keep talking about it because these are areas that people are just embarrassed to talk about.
No, I love that. And I was going to say the way you use your platform to not only relate to other people that are, going through those things, it's truly remarkable because I think now, especially with social media, it's like we want to see the good and only the good. And it's like, no, people go through things like we're human. So I appreciate you for, just using your platform to share your story. Um, in
Mhm.
other ways, you do use your platform, when it comes to charity and other endeavors that you do have. So, what are some steps you believe are necessary in order to create lasting change when it comes to, different, things going on within the world and, how you use your platform for that?
I think that it's impossible to make change unless you actually care. So, no matter how big or small your cause is, as long as you have a compassion for it, then I think you can really make change there. I have a nonprofit that you guys will probably learn more about soon. I don't want to spoil it because I have some things coming out, but I personally am just interested in children and people and motivating them and inspiring them to be the best version of themselves that they can possibly be and to live a life of luxury, but not one where you're depending on someone else to take care of you. I'm really interested in inspiring young children to work hard, to go to school or perfect whatever crafts it is that you see yourself having a future in so you can provide for yourself. And that's something I'm passionate about and something that I'm really getting involved in the area through my nonprofit. And you guys will see more of that coming up. But I think just having a profit, excuse me, just having a passion and involving yourself. It can be a small thing you do, whether it's talking or reading to kids after school, or if it's something at the local library or whatever the case may be. I think just in getting your feet wet and just stepping out.
Wow, I love that. Well, I will be staying tuned for all things that are coming your way. But just kind of as we wrap up here, I know a lot of times we're always on the go. Things are constantly happening, but like you say, you're trying to prioritize self-care and your me time. But just looking back on your journey so far, what do you consider either the proudest moment or achievement that you've had, or the defining moment and how it shaped your outlook just on success and fulfillment and what the American dream says the pursuit of happiness?
Wow. My most proud moment, this might be something really simple, but I would say my first job where, I was able to take care of myself fully and didn't have to depend on my parents or my family because, my parents did a really good job at providing for us and making sure that we could go to school without having to worry about working and focus on studying. So I think when I officially was able to take care of myself by myself and, was no longer a bill, a bill to my parents, that was a proud moment for me so I would say that, I mean, education is pretty standard for us. We had no choice, go to school and be great. But I would say becoming fully independent.
Yes, I love that. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm definitely excited to just learn more about your journey, see more on the next upcoming season of Potomac, and staying out for this reunion. But I just want to say, NECA, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your authenticity, and just being open and transparent. I wish you nothing but continued success, and thank you so much for your time and the opportunity.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed chatting.
Thank you.